Grand Rising to all you beautiful souls of light and friends. I am so honored and welcome that you are here today at CLG Viewpoint, and I am Cindy Lorraine Grace. Today is day 2 of 7, which is January the 7th, 2025. Each segment here will have some different perspectives on either family, health, technology, culture, arts, music, community, and world news and views, and so much more. Each segment is twice a week, Tuesdays and Fridays, and I'm leaving that open. Some of you may not know that I do have 2 CLG Viewpoint Telegram pages. One is CLG Viewpoint, and the second one is CLG Viewpoint Chat. This is a forum where you can send your ideas and small videos where I can add them here. If you have any questions, just to share and talk, I'm here for you, getting to know you. For me, it is an honor and a privilege. Each segment I start with a sage clearing. I take a stick of sage. I light it up. I clear negative energies to leave positive energies to start up each segment. All low energy entities, you are healed, forgiven, enlightened, and sent back to your perfect place and escorted by my spiritual guides. And so it is. And now we'll have positive energy full of love, joy, and happiness. The last 2 segments we've been discussing this book called The China Study. It is the most comprehensive study of nutrition ever conducted, and the startling implications for diet and weight loss and long-term health unpacks the connection between animal-based products and health risks, advocating for a whole food, plant-based diet. Quote, people who ate the most animal-based foods got the most chronic disease. Even relatively small intakes of animal-based foods were associated with adverse side effects. Yes. People who ate the most chronic-based foods were the healthiest, or the most plant-based foods were the healthiest, intended to avoid chronic disease. These results could not be ignored. From the initial experimental animal studies on animal protein, effects to this massive human study on dietary patterns, the findings prove to be consistent. This book is written by Dr. T. Colin Campbell, PhD, and his son, Dr. Thomas M. Campbell, MD. The United States pays more for health care than any other country in the world, yet the health of Americans is getting worse. And you could say that for Canada as well. And it is a Western society, and we eat pretty close to the Americans. In the United States, physician error, medication error, and adverse events from drugs or surgery kills 225,400 people per year. It is the 3rd leading cause of deaths behind cancer and heart disease. The authors advocate for a whole food, plant-based diet based on findings from this China study, one of the longest and most comprehensive nutritional studies. This approach, the study suggests, can prevent and even reverse disease while consuming animal proteins like meat and dairy can be harmful to human health. While protein is essential for muscle building and cellular function, research suggests we need 48.5 grams per day. Yes, 48.5 grams per day. The China study conducted in the early 1980s. China was chosen for 3 key reasons: to examine dietary practices outside Western societies, and to investigate varying disease rates across regions despite genetic similarities. The study's scope and methodology allowed researchers to rule out genetics as a primary factor in disease development and focus on the impact of diet and lifestyle. Researchers collected data from 65 countries, 130 villages, and 6,500 adults and their families. For 20 years, this study was 20 years. Upon completion, the China study had amassed over 8,000 statistically significant associations between various dietary factors and disease. The study found that rural Chinese consumed less fat, less animal protein, and more fiber than Americans, resulting in lower disease risk and weight despite higher calorie intake. The study recommends reducing animal protein consumption and eating a variety of fruits and vegetables to obtain necessary nutrients and reduce disease risk. Plant foods are rich in essential nutrients, including vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, fiber, and protein, which help prevent various diseases such as cancer, heart/brain/autoimmune disease, and diabetes, and etc. Try a plant-based diet for 1 month, and you'll experience its benefits and discover that it's achievable. Personal thoughts. This may be worthwhile to take a closer look. It sure makes a lot of sense to me to follow a plant-based food diet. But again, everyone has their own personal choice. Now, on to international news. Sputnik News. January the 4th, 2025, by writer E. Blenora. How U.S. dollar will be dethroned by BRICS national currency. To bring an end to the dollar hegemony, one doesn't need one common competing currency, but a number of national ones, according to former Ronald Reagan official and renowned American economist Dr. Paul Craig Roberts. Critics of de-dollarization argue that no viable alternative to the greenback has emerged as a major reserve currency. They maintain that the dominance of the U.S. dollar is likely to persist for the foreseeable future. Are they right? Quote, the dollar as reserve currency is the main basis of U.S. power, close quote, wrote Dr. Roberts. Quote, it means the U.S. can always finance its debt because U.S. debt is the reserves of foreign central banks. As U.S. debt increases, so do the reserves of foreign central banks, close quote. Additionally, the dollar also gives the U.S. control over the clearance system and the ability to impose sanctions, noted The Economist. That's why the greenback is so important to Washington. Other countries are striving to sell to the U.S. to obtain dollars for central bank reserves, he continued. Quote, then the greenbacks from exports are converted into U.S. treasuries, which pay interest while they serve as reserves for central banks, close quote. Personal thoughts. Looks like a new currency is in town. The Calgary Herald. We're now into Canada news, local news, the Calgary Herald. January 4th, 2025. Groundbreaking, and this is by Chris Varcrow. Groundbreaking. Canada's LNG industry set to launch as energy sector enters new year. As Canadian oil and gas leaders expect more mergers and acquisitions, plus relatively flat oil prices, they're bracing for potential fallout from U.S. tariff threats. It's taken more than a dozen years to reach this point, but get ready for Canada's long-awaited LNG industry to finally start up in 2025. As the new year opens, Canadian oil and gas leaders expect more mergers and acquisitions and relatively flat oil prices, and for domestic natural gas markets to be fortified by the LNG Canada project beginning to ship supercooled gas to international customers late in 2025. This is groundbreaking. We'll never, ever had a customer for our natural gas other than the United States, said Phil Hodge, CEO of junior gas producer Pine Cliff Energy. Quote, over 10% of all our production will instantly be exported to the biggest markets in the world, which are in Asia, close quote. As for LNG, ATB analysis indicates that required gas volumes for LNG Canada are already covered by the combined output coming from its partners, Shell, Petronas, PetroChina, Mitsubishi Corporation, and Korea Gas Corporation, although a second phase under consideration could boost demand. The report doesn't expect the first phase of LNG Canada will lead to a significant price premium compared to other North American gas hubs, but it will likely ease, quote, heightened volatility and significant price discounts, close quote, seen during periods of egress being constrained. Onto Canadians pay higher income tax than workers in most other OECD countries, report, NTD by Chandra Phillip, April 9th, 2024. Canadians at all levels of income pay more tax than residents in most other OECD countries across the world, according to a new report. The study, quote, Canada's rising personal tax rates and falling tax competitiveness, close quote, published by the Fraser Institute, said personal income tax rates at both the federal and provincial levels have made Canada less competitive compared with other countries in the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD. Quote, in 2022, that was the latest year of available international data, Canada had the fifth highest combined top tax rate out of 38 countries, close quote, the report said. Quote, this indicates that in 2022, while Canada's top tax rate was more competitive than in 4 countries, it was uncompetitive compared to most OECD countries, including the United States, the United Kingdom, and other English-speaking countries, such as Australia, close quote. Countries that ranked higher than Canada for tax rate in the OECD were Japan, Denmark, France, and Australia. Personal thoughts. As I shared with you that the country of Brunei is tax-free, it is the second smallest in the world, and it's 5,765 square miles in size, and the 13th richest country in the whole world. How does the second smallest country in the world become the 13th richest, surpassing Canada by a long shot? Canada is one of the highest ranked countries for tax rates, and it's the second largest country at 3,855,103 square miles in size. Brunei is a tax-free country because of its natural resources, oil and gas. Now, I will show you that what Canada has for natural and critical resources. This is a map of the energy sector throughout Canada. As you can see, we have a vast amount of natural resources in Canada. We have crude oil, natural gas, oil sands, refinery, coal mine. We have thermal electricity facilities, uranium mines. As you can see in this map, it's full of mines. Canada has 34 critical metals, 34. And all the different mines you see on this map, from zinc, copper, niobium, aluminum, nickel, cobalt, titanium, graphite, all sorts. As you can see on this map, we have full. And there's also advanced projects, the ones in the blue with the green dot in the middle, that are upcoming. So we're full of critical metals. And this is the 34 critical metals or minerals that we have. Metals. Now, precious metals and 34 critical metals equals no taxes. The precious metals mines in Canada, as you can see, we have copper, diamond mines, gold mines, silver mines, platinum mines, all sorts of mines here in Canada. Where is all the money coming from all these mines? Do we have a problem with mismanagement and expropriation of funds in our country? If the second smallest country in the world, Brunei, has only oil and gas, which provides tax-free for its country, or for its people of its country, is the 5th highest combined top tax rate out of 38 countries. And our country has a tremendous amount of natural resources and critical minerals, metals. Should we be paying personal taxes? What do you think? Looking forward to your comments on CLG Vision Point. Here's how much the average Canadian family will have to spend on groceries in 2025. City News Toronto by Lucas Casaletto and Faiza Amin. Posted on January the 2nd, 2025. The average family of 4 is expected to spend $800 more on groceries this year, according to the latest Canada Food Price Report. Food prices are expected to increase by 3% to 5% in 2025, with the most significant rises projected in the meat category range, and 4% to 6%. Now, for a typical family of 4, food expenses in 2024 are estimated at $16,833.67, an increase of $801.56 compared to 2024. Food prices increases are expected to differ across all the provinces. While meats and vegetables will see the highest price gains in 2025. We will get relief in the sense that prices will no longer increase at the level we've seen in the last 3 years, but still, they are high. The report underscores changing consumer behaviors driven by rising costs. Many Canadians are adopting strategies such as hunting for discounts, opting for lower cost brands, and cutting back on non-essential purchases. Alarmingly, food insecurity in Canada has hit record levels, impacting over 22.9% of households. Experts say a key question is, are you eating all the food you're buying? According to the Food Waste Index, the average Canadian household wastes about 174 pounds of food yearly. I would imagine a lot of other households don't waste any food because they don't have much. While many Canadians made a concerted effort to avoid some big box stores, such as Loblaws, in the spring of 2024, industry insiders say the movement had little impact on prices. Why? Or the company's bottom line. Quote, the so-called boycott did not work, close quote, said Bois. Quote, when you look at the finances, there's just no evidence that it worked, close quote. Personal thoughts. When this article reads that 22.9% of households, 22, sorry, this just gets me, this whole thing about the poverty here. 22.9% of households. That means it is affecting 9,160,000 Canadian households. Yes. That is a lot of people. When we have the most richest resources, minerals, critical minerals, energy sources, resources, why are we paying for such a high cost for food? We pay high taxes. We have so much poverty, and we have so much homelessness. Why? That's a very sensitive topic for me, as it would probably for you as well. People need to be fed. Now on to health sins. I have made a video on milling your own flour. And here we go. To show you how to mill your own flour. Yes, mill your own flour. I have a huge bag here of einkorn grain. I'll take my measuring cup and I will dig out some grain here. Beautiful einkorn grain. And there's so many things you can make with flours, you know, homemade bread, buns, muffins. But it's nice to know what is in your flour and in your breads that you make. It's all healthy for you. Whole grains, food diets. Now I'll put the little bowl underneath here, and I'll turn on the switches on the side, and here we go. Wow, that's right. Look at that. And that's how you can make your own homemade flour. That was a lot of fun. My husband, Mr. Andre, was doing the technology. He was videoing me. It was a lot of fun. I have an inspirational soul of light. His name is Bashar. I'd like to share his principles to you all. Bashar's basic principles explain how to navigate our human experience by letting go of fear, embracing our true selves, following our passions, and recognizing the interconnectedness of all things so we can create a fulfilling and purposeful life. You are a non-physical consciousness that is experiencing physical reality. You are here on earth at this time because you choose to be. You were created in the image of the Creator. Your essential essences is unconditional love. The experience of ecstasy is your birthright. You always have free will and the freedom to choose anything you can imagine that is relevant for your life's theme is possible for you to experience. Anything you can imagine that is relevant for your life's theme is possible for you to experience. You attract your life's experiences through the interaction of your strongest beliefs, emotions, and actions. Excitement is the physical translation of the vibrational resonance that is your true core natural being. Follow your excitement. You are naturally abundant, and your choices are always supported by creation. There's actually only one moment in creation. Everything you experience is the same moment from a different point of view. You create the past and the future from the here and the now. You are eternal beings, and while you may change your form, and your consciousness cannot cease to exist, everything you experience is another aspect of yourself. You are loved so unconditionally by creation that you can even choose to believe that you are not loved or that you are loved. The choice is yours. And now, in the closing, I am Cindy Lorraine Grace of CLG Viewpoint, and I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for being here today. If you feel compelled to, please share this forum. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening, and see you on the next CLG Viewpoint on Friday, day 5 of 7, January the 10th, 2025. Good night until next time. And now the ending, and enjoy the music. Goodbye.